What's up, everybody? It's Alan from Breaking and Entering, and today we are sitting down with a singer-songwriter who just put out a new record, Sludge Hawking. Thank you for joining us. How are you doing today?
Great.
It's a pleasure to sit down and talk with you. Like I said, you just put out a new record. It is called Wilder Country. You put it out at the beginning of December. But before we get too far into the record and into the nitty-gritty, let's talk about your background just a little bit. How did you get started making music?
Well, I've been playing guitar since probably I think fourth, fifth grade. First started kind of like I had a teacher who put me on to a lot of jazz stuff. Kind of pushed me towards being like a rhythm guitarist, mostly to support his noodling, I think, so he could do the solos. But so I dabbled in jazz guitar at first, and then something about choir made music kind of make sense for me, going way back. And then from there, I've been jamming always with the guys, and I guess that is really what Sludge Hawking is at its core. Is most of the band now, we've been jamming together since we were teenagers. There's been all types of different iterations. We played as a kind of more punk trio called Warden about 10 years ago, and we played at Milwaukee Punk Fest, and we got out a little bit playing as Warden. And then it was really COVID. I remember we played a great New Year's show 2020, and we were just figuring out how to play our instruments, I think, as Warden. And then COVID kind of hit, and I don't know, we all took it pretty seriously and knew we weren't going to gig out for a while. I started working in events around town, and just started to see all the talent that was out there, and just wanted to also get out there
Sure.
and jam.
Yeah.
And so kind of was just I made a bedroom studio album 2 years ago, kind of coming out of COVID. Called Throwaway Days, which is out there as well. But that was really just I strongly desired to do the DIY kind of, like I said, the bedroom studio album. So I just kind of went at it finally.
Sure.
Got familiar with a DAW and everything. I've started to do work in audio on the side as well since then. So I don't know. With the Wilder Country, this album, finally, it's I've always wanted to record, my own songs with the full band, and from the engineering to the mixing, just kind of see the whole thing through.
For sure.
So, we've all been jamming for a long time in Sludge Hawking, and I guess these are 9 songs where we finally got it together a little bit.
That's cool. Do you think that, having that isolation, is that when some of these songs started to generate, is just, because everybody was alone, and, the genesis for these these songs kind of came from that?
Not for me, because I guess we did, as COVID was ending, whatever that meant. I went down to Atlanta, saw Georgia for the first time, and that inspired a song. And I guess some of the songs were starting to be put together a little before COVID. So for me, it's not so much of an isolation thing, except for that it kind of did force me. There's nowhere to go. The production side of it, at least, it was finally okay, there's nothing to do but toy around with some of, getting an interface and microphones, and there's time to do that.
For sure.
And I had to do it.
Yeah, at that point.
Didn't really have
yeah.
it together to go to a studio.
Yeah. The shift in sound from being in a punk band to going to something more like what you're doing now, is there some of that energy that carries over for you, do you think? I still want to do it my way, like you said, still want to create that album, but create it in a way that feels independent of, a folksy country sound, you could have your own edge to it?
Yeah, I think maybe that's a little bit of when I kind of say this new hard folk thing is what we've called our genre with Sludge Hawking, is a little bit of self production And I guess at least when I was recording this, I was like, I don't want to make like a lo-fi indie album. I think I did a little more polished than that, and that was like just the goal. It was like just to not totally lean back and say, whatever, this is lo-fi. To try to get it at least a notch or two better in terms of like the overall production of it.
For sure. And I think when a lot of people think lo-fi now, they might think more of like the YouTube beats to study to thing that doesn't, but it does, I mean, it's such a broad term that you can throw in there, but I like what you've done is expanding on that, you know.
There's an old band, I guess I don't want to call them old band now, but there's a band called Titus Andronicus that put albums out like 10, 15 years ago that I was always inspired by because they had a lot of lyrics and twangy guitar, fuzzed out guitar, and some heavier drums. So that's a big inspiration.
I was gonna ask, what other artists were kind of the inspiration for those sorts of things. Are there other people that you were listening to that kind of put you in that writing sense of like, I want to write in the vein of this without necessarily saying like I want to do this, but at least capturing some elements of it?
I've always, all the old kind of 60s sound, whether it is like the bluesier artist, like blues artists from the time, Motown, or it's that it's country music. I listen to so much old music, so that's like one thing. From there, Brian Jonestown Massacre is an artist that kind of has that 60s revival idea. What was the question we were going?
Like what artist? Put you kind of in that writing state of like I want to write, in the vein of somebody like that.
It's more I think about like styles, and it's like Captain Beefheart is a huge one of this idea. There's like some weird rhythm sometimes. There's jams. There's a bluesiness. There's harmonica. I was like, like Captain Beefheart is one artist that when I think of whatever I'm trying to do with the new hard folk, that'd probably be like a saint of all that.
For sure. What is kind of the next step, I guess, then for taking hard folk to the people? Are we playing shows? Like, what is the focus from here on out?
Well, I guess my whole thing was not even thinking about stuff on social media so much. And like the focus the past 18 months has been getting a good set together with the guys that I've been playing with. And so far we've pretty much played everywhere around Milwaukee that we've wanted to play at. Nice. And so really just looking to like Minneapolis, Chicago, getting Madison, playing some of those next rooms in the region.
Sure.
That's
are
it.
You setting up a tour?
So now what I feel like is I've finally. What's that?
Setting up a tour now?
Well, it's not so much a tour. Basically, I feel like I've been focused on having the good band together, and now if you look at our social media, it's there. There's albums. I just was really focused. I feel like on building some type of repertoire, like for myself first, and now we're gonna see where we can take it.
For sure.
I'm emailing away and doing all that fun stuff.
Yes. Yeah, the back end of rock and roll that people don't know about, right? Like the emails and the messaging and the logistical, all that fun stuff. Grow up and be a rock star.
And it's fun because I work in events when I'm not doing band stuff, so at least I see a bit of the coordination side of it and being a roadie. Basically, I work in corporate events. Nothing that cool, but. Yeah,
you got to merge those worlds together too. There you go. That'll be innovative.
Well, that's another thing is I felt confident to try and self-record an album because I have been playing with audio on a daily basis professionally, and so I didn't want to totally mix my own album after a certain point, but it felt like I gained some technical skills and might as well do it.
Right, for sure. Well, Well, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. Like I said, The Wilder Country is out now. You can check that out everywhere. If people want to follow you guys, where's the best place to go ahead and do that at?
I think I'll just do the old Sludge Hawking on Instagram, and we have a link tree that puts it all together for all the streaming. And then I guess we are playing a nice low-key, chill show at Quarters Rock and Roll Palace in Milwaukee on January 31st.
There we go. Perfect. Well, make sure you go check that out. Go check out Sludge Hawking. And then, of course, you can always check out even more of Milwaukee's music scene every single day over at breakingandentering.net. And follow us on all of our social media as well. Thanks so much.